Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for being here this evening. Welcome to the City of Gahanna's celebration and presentation on Black History Month. We have so many wonderful people here in the audience. Many of our, I think almost all of our council members, all but just a few of them are here, as well as our city attorney. And for those of you who might be watching this at home, either in the moment or perhaps later on, we welcome and invite you and encourage you and thank you for joining us here online this evening. Again, today is a special celebration of Black History Month, but there's also a very special individual we want to recognize tonight. Black History Month is about honoring the lives of individuals whose courage, vision, and dedication have truly helped to shape our Gahanna community. And in that spirit, we are coming together this evening in a special honor to celebrate a truly remarkable life. A life that has left a lasting mark here on our community and on our values here in Gahanna, and that is the life of Cora May Thurman. Cora May's story is one of courage, service, and breaking barriers, and her connection to Gahanna runs very deep. From her earliest days, she faced challenges that could have held her back, but she didn't let them. In 1904, she became the first and only African-American student in Gahanna schools. Imagine what that must have been like for her at that time, to walk into a schoolroom where no one looked the way she did. But when she walked through that door, she didn't just persevere. She opened the door for those who followed behind her. She believed in the power of education, not just as a path for herself, but as a way to lift up her students and her community. Cora spent her life in classrooms and communities, inspiring children and colleagues alike. She saw potential where others saw obstacles, and she worked tirelessly to make sure that every child and every individual was given a chance to shine. Her compassion, her patience, her bravery, and her unwavering belief in others left a mark that continues to be felt today, and I believe is truly a hallmark of our Gahanna community. Cora May's story is filled with firsts, but what truly stands out is her heart and her courage. During Black History Month, her life and her legacy remind us that progress comes from people who are willing to serve, people who are willing to imagine a better life, and people who have the courage to pursue that better future. As we honor Cora May's legacy tonight, let us remember that the best way for us to celebrate Black History Month is to carry forward the same spirit of those who have gone before us, by lifting up others, by embracing opportunities, and believing in the potential for each and every person, just as Cora did. This evening, we have an incredible presentation for you, and we have a very special person as well to thank for that. Mr. Tom Gregory, many in Gahanna will know Tom, but Tom actually is going to tell the story of how he discovered the incredible story of this remarkable woman. And we have some of Cora May's family members here with us this evening who shared. She didn't know the story either. And it is, you know, it should be a reminder to take the time and spend those few minutes with your family members, with those neighbors, and talk to them. Ask them stories. Ask them his stories. We always talk about history being his story or her story. Ask them. Talk to them, ask the questions so that you can learn all of the treasures that they hold in their hands and in their minds to share with you that help enlighten our paths as we move forward. I'd like to thank Councilwoman Jamil Jones for being the architect of tonight's event. I believe we have to remind folks that there are wonderful treats by Bake Me Happy here available as well, so thanks to them as well for providing those. And now I'm actually going to turn this over to Councilmember Jones for a few words.
Good evening, and thank you, Mayor Jadwin, for that welcome. We are here tonight, as you heard, to learn more about a legend or icon in our community's history, but that story is being delivered by a bit of an icon or legend in Gahanna history. And so I wanted to take a moment to introduce Mr. Tom Gregory, who is a proud graduate of Gahanna Lincoln High School, class of 1982, and a 2015 inductee into Gahanna Lincoln Alumni Hall of Fame. For decades, Mr. Gregory has been a familiar and respected presence in our schools, serving as a teacher, mentor, and visionary behind WGLHS TV, where he guided students in public speaking, storytelling, and broadcast journalism until his retirement in 2019. But Mr. Gregory's dedication has always extended beyond the classroom. He is widely known as a passionate steward of local history and a champion for ensuring that the people and events of our past are not forgotten. From preserving the Jefferson Townhouse one-room schoolhouse to honoring veterans through the GLHS Memorial and his work with Honor Flight, Mr. Gregory has consistently helped our community connect with its roots. And tonight, that commitment brings us to this especially meaningful story. So please join me in welcoming Mr. Gregory to hear more about Cora May Thurman.
Okay, before I even start talking about Cora herself, I went and researched a little bit about her family. Her grandfather, who was born about 1815 and died in 1883. He was born in Virginia and married, and it was like 1840. They lived in Virginia and then moved to Jackson County, Ohio. And Jackson County still is not a very diverse area, but there is a pocket area there where the Jones and a number of African Americans lived. And his first son, Private Joseph Jones, actually was part of the Civil War, which this would be Cora's uncle at the time. He was part of the African American troops, and he died in the Civil War fighting for our freedom in our country at the time. And if you look over there in the 1870 census, it lists they had 10 kids, but there's 9 because he's not alive. But the oldest, Cora's dad, is listed right there. And you can see at 14, he's working on the farm in Jackson County. He married Cora's mother, Elora, and they eventually left Jackson County and after they married, and they moved to Hamilton Township in Franklin County, which is kind of the Obetz area. And if you look up there, now we're into Cora. Cora was born March 9th in 1894. Now you really have to think about that date. I mean, that's 29 years after the Civil War, 26 years before women had the right to vote. So all of this is, you have to look at Cora's life from that time period and what that would have been like. When they moved in 1884, they moved, why Hamilton Township? I didn't realize this till just a few months ago. The Hartman Dairy Farm had over 5,000 acres. It was the biggest farm in the United States. Who knew? In Franklin County, that area. And the workers there lived right on the farm. And that schoolhouse still exists on Rath Mill and 23, if you've ever been down there. That's all that's left of that. And that was likely, I don't have any proof of this, but likely where Cora went to school before they moved to Gahanna, just in 1900 to 1903. Then, Cora and her family, they moved to Gahanna area. Instead of just working on a dairy farm, they had their own dairy farm here in Gahanna area. And the school she went to, school you all know still exists, built in 1889. That school was a huge, huge project for Gahanna, one of the biggest buildings of the time. It was added on two different times, and that's where Cora went to school from 1904 until she graduated in 1913. And in 1904, as we said, she was the first African American to attend Gahanna schools. And there's a picture, and you can see they blew up the section. There she is. And that is the entire school district of Gahanna in that year. So about 70 people, 65 students and 5 staff. Now, if we had to recreate that now, it'd be well over 10,000 or more. All the staff, all the students, think of all the preschools, Columbus Academy, St. Matthew's, everyone. But that's what it was at that time period. And there's just a close-up of her at the time. And she was in about the 5th grade that year. then this is not, this was 1906, 1907, so 2 years later, so she's in about the 7th grade. And that's, at that time, that school had about 3 different classes. So obviously it was not a one-room schoolhouse, but it wasn't huge at the time. And there she is. People always, when I talk to the students, they say, why is everyone so serious? Well, they had to hold their, I mean, pictures, when we take them now, it's just real quick, but there they kind of had to hold it for just a little bit. And there she is there. And then this is around 1911. I just got this picture just 3 or 4 days ago. This was when I'm guessing, because there was no date on this picture, probably about the 10th grade. And then this is her high school picture. And in 1913, not only was she the first African American to graduate from Gahanna schools, at that time period between 1882, when we first had high school students in Gahanna graduating in 1913, 31 years, she was the 100th student to graduate. And some people say, well, why? I mean, we had more students than that. But what people don't realize is high school was optional then. And lots of people did not go to high school. It was an agricultural culture at that time period, and a lot of people did not go to school. They went back and worked on the farm. And it was a big sacrifice for families when students stayed in school. And here is from the Historical Society, they had 8 graduates that year. And that was kind of a bubble year, a big year, because before it was 5, and I think after it was 6 or 5. So, and there's the list there. And what's interesting in this article in the Dispatch, obviously, it was the 17th annual banquet of the Gahanna Alumni Association, which means the Alumni Association just had started in 1896, which they're starting one up again now. And I don't think they realized we had one, and history was really important then. Pretty quickly after they built the building in there, that building was the centerpiece of Gahanna in there. Lots of things went on there, not just that. And what's interesting, this was a celebration after the graduation. See where there was 109 people? That's a big amount of people, because in the community at that time probably had 220 people in the whole community. So 109 people came out, half the city came out to support the graduates at the time. And there's the graduation picture they had. And you can see again how formal everyone is and everything, the 8 graduates. And I found this alumni organization booklet. And look, they do not destroy. They kept it from 1894 to 1951. And I think the growth of the city was going so fast then, they couldn't keep up. And I think that's where it kind of went away. And they're restarting that back up now. After she graduated high school from Gahanna, she went to the Columbus Normal School to get her teaching certificate. A normal school is where it was a teacher training school, and they needed a lot of teachers at the time period. And so how it worked, she went there for 2 years, and when she graduated, she would get a 4-year teaching certificate. After she taught for 2 years, that would turn into a lifetime certificate. How do I know that? In the Columbus Dispatch in 1915, they explained that. And then in the second article to the right, it lists Cora's name when she graduated. And also the other name, Martha Dawson, graduated with Cora that same year. Let me go back real quick to this graduation picture. Right now we have Cora's granddaughter and Dale Ward, who's up there in the corner, his 2 grandsons here in the audience from that picture right there. So after she graduated from the Columbus Normal School, she had to find a teaching position. Now, the sad truth, that's how it was pretty much the whole time Cora was, is if you're African American, you could only teach African American students at the time. And so she had to find a teaching job. And a lot of times with new students, they taught in rural districts. And she went to Jackson County. Why Jackson County? It's very not a very diverse community, but there was a pocket of African Americans. And remember, her family grew up there. And so it's very likely that she stayed with some family members. I tell all the students, too, the reality, they made about $37.50 a month as one-room schoolhouse teachers. But in addition to the salary, they stayed with the students and would rotate through. That was their board and food. They didn't have to pay for that. And she did that for 2 years with her family still here in Franklin County and the relatives there. But after 2 years, she now had her lifetime teaching certificate, and she wanted to move back to Franklin County. And she did that by teaching in the Urban Crest one-room schoolhouse. Urban Crest still exists as a city today. It's in Grove City area. They don't have a school system anymore, but at the time, it was just a one-room schoolhouse. That's what they had. And you can see Cora in the middle there. And the woman, if you can point with your point, 2 over from Cora to the right there, yeah. That was her student, and in 1971, that's Ellen Walker Craig Jones, she became elected the mayor of Urban Crest and served from 1972 to 1975. When she served, she was the first female African-American mayor in the United States. And she was in Cora's one-room schoolhouse, and that was the only education she had. Cora was also a principal in Urban Crest. She was the first principal there. Now, a principal in that time period, they divided this, because the city was growing, they divided the schoolhouse in half and had 2 classes, and then they opened a classroom at a feed store, and one of the teachers still taught, but had to be a lead teacher, and that was Cora at the time. And this is Ellen Walker Craig Jones. She's an interesting person just to research in herself, what she did and everything. She was, in 1994, posthumously inducted into the Ohio Women's Hall of Fame. But if you look at national politics and women, she's listed. During the time when Cora was in the one-room schoolhouse in Urban Crest, she was there from 1917 to 1925, so 7 years. She got married in 1922, so her name was Jones up until she married Clem Thurman, and he was 13 years older than her. He had been married previously and had a child, and had been widowed previously, and they got married, and that's when she became Cora Thurman. Another student in that Urban Crest school that later went on to go work in Columbus had a diary. The whole diary is on the Columbus Public Library, but mentions Cora. And this is after she had graduated. Like, she's running back to see Cora because she's sick, and then she's better now. And then before Cora, when she was leaving Urban Crest, she went out to teach in Mansfield. She visited her before she left. And when she came back during the holidays, she visited her as well. And why do I show all that? It's just, obviously, students were important to her, and the students thought well of her, and she thought well of her students. That was obviously because of that. And that she died 6 months after that from some illness that she was suffering from then. And then Cora went to Mansfield to teach. Now, at first, this was a little confusing to me. I thought, well, she just got married 3 years before, and her husband stayed in Columbus because he was a barber and had a real estate brokerage, and she taught at Mansfield. She would come back, on weekends at times, obviously not every weekend, and during the holidays and stuff, but why? There were really only at that time period, 2 types of schools for the most part. There were rural schools and there were city schools. And the rural schools didn't pay as well, and the city schools paid much better, but those jobs were much harder to get. Obviously, I'm sure she wanted to try and get a job in Columbus Public, but she took a job in Mansfield because she was able to get that. When she got hired in Mansfield, she and one other woman, they were the first 2 African-American individuals to ever be hired in Mansfield City Schools in 1925. And again, it shows her salary in this. It's hard to see, but she was up to that point. She had taught 9 years, 2 years in Jackson County, 7 years in the Urban Crest School. She was making $900 a year. And they were going to pay her $1,500. Now, at first you might say, well, that's not that much more. It's almost double. That's like going from 50,000 to 85,000. Huge difference. And you could have even greater impact on students. In this next article, they describe, they're introducing the individuals to the community. And just what's interesting, when they introduce her, it says, Mrs. Thurman is a graduate of a 4-year school course at Gahanna. I mean, they're talking about Gahanna as if it's getting a bachelor's degree. But it really was at the time, because not everybody went to school. High school where you went to high school was really important. 2-year normal course, 2 years at Jackson County, and 7 years in Franklin County. So you just kind of see. And there's just a few articles in here about stuff she did. There was tons of articles about her when she was in Mansfield. Some of these kind of bring to light, and this is true of anyone that taught elementary at the time, they didn't really have specials. So if you wanted to do music or phys ed or art, you had to do that yourself as a teacher. But the unfortunate reality, some of this stuff where they had like a girls' reserve club, that's where they taught domestic arts and stuff to girls, well, they had a separate one. And she oversaw that for the African American students. And also, their heritage and the background was really important. This isn't a musical, but it's a musicale. It's kind of an old-fashioned thing. My wife had to remind me of that. It's where each class sponsored a few songs that their kids did. And if you see what she did, she certainly brought out the background and the things that those kids went through and wanted to celebrate that with the students. And that was true with the students in the bottom, where they talked about, they had a program with spirituals in it. But after 5 years, traveling back and forth and everything else, she got a job in Columbus Public. So she resigned from Mansfield and was able to move back home and and you just think, that's just what had to be done at the time. Why? Because that was what she had to do. This is just kind of every year the Dispatch put, who taught where or whatever. There's just a highlight to show you. She started out at Mount Vernon. She's still there in 37, 47, 50. And then by 54, her last 3 years, she taught at Beatty Park. So here's Mount Vernon. This is the school she spent most of her years teaching in. So 23 of her 41 years that she taught was in this school building. And she taught like elementary age students there for a year or two, and then most of her career after that, she was dealing with special needs students. And again, this is before IEP and all the Freedom of Fairness Act for students and everything. And then her last 3 years, she was at Beatty Park. And someone might say, well, why would she go to Beatty Park her last 3 years? Well, this was a new building. A lot of the buildings, both of those buildings are gone now. There is a Beatty Park in Columbus Public, but it's not that building. But it was new. And for the chance to teach in a new building with state-of-the-art everything, I'm sure that was an exciting thing. She had a lifetime teaching certificate, but she didn't stop there. She decided she wanted to get education. She wanted to increase her education for herself at the time, and she was still teaching full-time. It talks about there that she took classes. They offered some classes at schools even. But what was interesting, Capital University, and she took classes at other colleges too. She did that in the evenings, in the summer. And when she took classes in 1937 at Capital University, she was one of the very first African-American female to take classes there. As far as the head librarian I could figure out, she was the second to take classes at Capital. Someone else had taken classes just a couple months before her. How did she do that? Well, in the Capital Chimes in 1937 in the summer, they had a program for teachers, and they also had night courses, which I was surprised that they had that early, but I guess a lot of colleges did. So she took classes there, and a lot of those then were transferred, because where she took courses in the summer was a place called the Hampton Institute in Virginia. She would go there in the summer, and that's where she eventually got her degrees. In 1940, a very big deal at the time was the dedication of Poindexter Village, where the president at the time, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, came for the dedication. Well, her staff right there and all the students were up front and got to meet the president, when he came for the dedication. I mean, think about that, and think about the time period. And there's the dedication and the students and the staff there. Some of the other things that she did beyond just teaching, she was elected Central Ohio Teaching Association secretary. Again, her teaching peers had to vote her for that. She got her degree in 1944. Her degree was awarded from the Hampton Institute in Virginia, which became Hampton University. But a lot of different college classes that she took, classes at Ohio State and at Miami and at Capitol and Chicago State University, but that's where the degree was ordered. All the classes were transferred there. The other thing I found out was she was the first female elected to the St. Philip's Episcopal Church vestry. St. Philip's is still an Episcopal church that exists today. I had to call them up and try to. I read that somewhere, but I like to try to prove, make sure there's. And they finally found it in some book they had published. And they could also tell me what a vestry was. It's like a governing board or something for the church. And I think it's like a 2 or 3 year term or something. In 1948, she was nominated and a finalist for the 1948, this is National Teacher of the Year. It's a radio show, Quiz Kids, that sponsored this from 1940 to 1953. And this is a Columbus Dispatch article with her holding her certificate. She didn't win, but she represented Ohio as a finalist. And again, she taught special needs students at the time. And those were the students, her past and present students, that had to nominate her for that. And there's a copy of the certificate she got for that. Again, still involved. She started her master's degree, if you look at the bottom, right away, continuing to take classes, and she finished it in 1946. At the time when she got her bachelor's degree in 1944, there were less than 2% of African American females in the United States that had a bachelor's degree. In 1946, when she got her master's degree, less than 0.5% of African American females in the United States had a master's degree. So it can't have been easy for her to do that. But she knew it made her better for what she was doing. It made her better at her craft. She was very involved in different clubs and stuff, and that even became more apparent later, because now at this point, after 1946, she had finished, she's gotten her bachelor's degree, she was done taking classes. So look, here she's treasurer of the Benevolent Prison League, and she started this club for senior citizens, this club to try and help support them. And all of it is to help the disadvantaged, people that needed a hand up. She was a featured speaker for many different places. She talked about the misunderstood child at a lot of different clubs or groups. This one's the National Alliance for Post Office Employees. But she just used her knowledge to try and help educate other people in the community. And this was a passion of hers, was reading and teaching remedial reading and the importance of what reading was and how important that was in education. And the OSU Lantern had an article where at the National Association for Remedial Teaching Conference, she and her students were the featured speaker there for that. And again, she taught that a lot of different places. The Columbus Public School Board Minute shows some other times where she was teaching and involved in education, in the leadership and policy, and in making education better, not just in what she did in the classroom. There's a couple articles I have of projects that she did with students. I mean, there were lots of different ones. This one, though, is she helped them celebrate and the different countries, and they made different outfits of the countries of the world, she and her students. And this next one, it's hard to read, but I really love what she did. This would be an innovative project today, and this would be 76 years ago, what she did with her special needs students. So she had her special needs class of boys, 11 to 15, and what they did was they created a lending library of toys for kids that were underprivileged. And so the kids made toys, they made puzzles, they made books, they made whatever. And then they were the librarians that checked those out. They were the leaders in the school for the younger kids. And that's what we want today, and what all of the fairness of education and integration that we want in schools, and she was doing it way back then. In 1955, Columbus Public at the time had over 3,000 teachers, and they awarded 10 grants for teachers to work on projects, and she was one of the 10. Now, it was a $500 grant, and at first you think, well, $500. The teaching salary at the time, the average teaching salary was about $4,200, so that's an eighth of your salary. So if you look now, as teachers are nearing the end of their salary, they make closer to $100,000. You're probably talking that's $12,000 to $15,000 grant in today's money. So you could see she could make a difference. And what she chose to do, she worked with another teacher, and she put together a 2-week workshop of remedial reading to train the teachers how to teach their students and to go back into their buildings and to teach other teachers to do the same thing, so that could keep going. So you weren't just impacting a few people, but you were impacting a whole district. In Beatty Park, her last 2 years in Beatty Park, she worked there, and there's a woman that worked with her, Catherine Talmadge, who became Catherine Talmadge Willis. Catherine Talmadge Willis, she's 96 now, is a huge activist in Columbus Public Schools. She was an amazing teacher. She taught for over 30 years, and you can see all the awards she'd done. She worked on bringing art into the community. She was given the Jefferson Award 2 different times. She created in 2008 the Urban Strings Orchestra, and she just retired from doing that last year. And it brought the strings program into Columbus Public Schools. And why do I talk about her? She's an amazing individual. She was listed as a member of the Columbus City Hall of Fame. Well, she worked with Cora for 2 years, her last 2 years of teaching. Cora's last 2 years, her first 2 years. And if you can play, because I interviewed her just to see. Now, we're talking about, she's speaking about someone that was born in 1894.
My name is Catherine Willis, and Cora Thurman was a teacher at Beatty Park Elementary School when I started as a first-year kindergarten teacher for Columbus City Schools. I was assigned to Beatty Park Elementary School. I remember her as a beautiful, very pleasant, warm person. She was very welcoming to me as a first-year teacher in Columbus. She was a master teacher and was among a staff full of master teachers. She was firm with love. Her voice was calm and gentle. She had a ready smile, but was a very no-nonsense educator. She had high expectations, and her students met her expectations. There were no discipline problems in her room. If so, they were handled very quickly and firmly. When I think of her, I remember how she served as a role model for the students and all who came in contact with her. Cora Thurman, a master teacher in Columbus City Schools.
And that is a master teacher herself that's describing Cora, so you know that that's true at this point. Cora's last 3 years teaching, and she may have done this longer than that, this is all I could find, but she, in addition to teaching during the school day, she was part of the Columbus Evening School. What is that? Well, that's where parents or community members could come to school. Some of them might be getting their high school diploma. Some of them might be learning to read. Who knows? But she was a part of helping to 2 days a week to teach those adults whatever they needed. And then she did retire, and this is just a workshop she did after she retired. There was 93 teachers. This was in the Lima Citizen. 93 teachers came, and then you can see that Cora Thurman, who had been retired, she had worked with special needs kids for over 26 years, but she'd been in education 41 years, was the one leading the way for that workshop. In addition, as you could see, not just everything she did in the classroom, but what she did in the community. The local Association of Negro Business and Professional Women's, they nominated her, and she received the local Sojourner Truth Award, and that put her up for the national, which she also received in 1956. And you can see kind of in there, it says the National Association of Negro Business and Professional Women Clubs presents the 1956 National Annual Sojourner Truth Community Service Award to Mrs. Cora May Thurman in recognition of her meritorious community service, her deep concern for and participation in all activities advancing the status of women, and her sincere efforts and acceptance of the responsibility to advance the brotherhood of man. So it isn't just being what she did in the classroom. She transferred that in the community and made a difference there as well. These are all the schools that she went to, and they obviously could not send me transcripts but they could send acknowledgement when she went there and what dates and stuff. And to get those 2 degrees that she got from Hampton Institute at the time, those are all the schools that she went to do that. Then she retired in 1957. In 1960, she moved out to Tucson, Arizona. And these are just some articles after that. She and her husband both were involved in the community out there as well, doing all kinds of the same types of things out there in that community. In 1977, they celebrated their 55th anniversary. A few years later, her husband turns 103. She turns 90. There's a picture of them. He turns 105 a few years later. She turns 92. And there's a picture. It's the last picture I have, the 2 of them. And then she died first. This is her obituary. She was 93 at the time. She lived a huge life. And then less than 30 days later, 106, her husband died. Now, I didn't really talk as much about her husband, but the sacrifice he had to make as well, and the support he had to give her as well to do everything that she did in the classroom and outside of the classroom. And then just a few months ago, she was honored by the Gahanna High School Alumni Association, being nominated into our Alumni Hall of Fame posthumously, and her granddaughter Clemia is there to receive the award for everything she's done. And this picture we have, because part of the reason I went through all of this, I think history is important. This history was there all over the place, but if we don't put it together, it can be lost. But now it won't be lost. And when students come to the one-room schoolhouse, they'll hear about that history, about her and what she did and the difference she made. Not maybe as in-depth as we are going here, but at least they'll hear about that and see that. And as diverse as our community is, it's really important for all students that go there to be able to see all history. So really quick, as I go through this, she was the first African-American to attend school in Gahanna, the first in her family to attend 4 years high school, the first African-American to graduate from Gahanna schools, the first in her family to receive a professional certificate, the first in her family to take any college classes, one of the first female African-American students to attend classes at Capitol. Right now, I think she's the second. The first in her family to get a bachelor's degree from the Hampton Institute. You can see all the schools she went to do that. First in her family to get a master's degree. And again, when she did that, less than 0.5%. The first African-American teacher employed by the Jackson County school system. the first African-American teacher employed by the Urban Crest school system, the first African-American teacher to become principal or leader in that Urban Crest school. One of her students in that class went on to become the first, not only African-American mayor in Urban Crest, but female African-American to be mayor in the United States. The first of two African-American teachers to be employed by Mansfield City Schools. The first woman to ever serve on the church vestry. She and her colleagues and students were the first to greet the president, Franklin Roosevelt at the time. She was elected by her teaching colleagues to be on the Central Ohio Teaching Association in 1947. One of the first African-American female teachers nominated for the Best Teacher of the Year for 1948. Expert in remedial reading. I'm a specialist, not just here in Columbus, but all over the state. There was even where I read a teacher from England used some of her teaching methods. A featured speaker, she spoke on the misunderstood child, many different places. Again, her passion was remedial reading, and she passed that along wherever she could. One of 10 teachers in Columbus to receive a grant, and again, she used that to pass along the remedial teaching that she knew about. She was chosen to receive the National Sojourner Truth Award in 1956 for not just her teaching, but for what she did in the community. And then most recently was inducted posthumously into the Gahanna Lincoln High School Alumni Hall of Fame. And when we say first, we throw that out, and someone to be a trailblazer. I mean, to be a first in anything, look at that. A lot of firsts. And might have been because she had to. It might not have been a choice. But to be a trailblazer, imagine you're trying to go through, I think, a rainforest or something. There's just you have no idea. You just got to make your path. There's no one there, and you just got to find your way. And so what I always try to tell people, and even when I talk to students about this, we think of history as really famous people that do these big things. And that's true. That's history. But history is also ordinary people that do extraordinary things. And I can tell you, she definitely was that. And not only that, they bring out the extraordinary in all the people around them. And so I truly believe that Cora is someone that the Gahanna schools, the Gahanna community, and the entire Central Ohio community can be proud of and celebrate. So. Okay.
Thank you. Wow. So I saw that presentation a couple months ago at a school board meeting, and which is a little bit of why Mr. Gregory is here, but learned even more the second time around, and saw so many connections to even folks in this room. I know I can, and we've got an I know I can leader in the room and family, and so thank you again for sharing that with us and for your time and energy and just passion that you put into that. Also wanted to thank Council Clerk, Mr. Van Meter, for help and logistics and getting folks here today. If you would like to stick around, we will do an official presentation of a resolution to Mr. Gregory and to the family of Cora Thurman as well. And there are still treats, but thank you for coming. Thank you to the mayor for the introduction, to the city for getting things set up here earlier than we normally would on a Monday. We appreciate it, and happy Black History Month. We are on day 2, but we can keep it up all month and beyond. And I really appreciate what you said about history is ordinary people doing extraordinary things. So take some time this month to learn about another ordinary person who is probably doing extraordinary things right next door. So thank you all for coming.
Good evening, everyone. Today is Monday, February 2nd, 2026. I've got 7:02 p.m., so I'd like to go ahead and call to order the regular meeting of Gahanna City Council. We'll get started first with the invocation and pledge of allegiance led by Vice President Jones.
As we begin today, let us remember that the spaces we sit in were shaped by many hands, many voices, and many stories. Some celebrated, others too often overlooked. During Black History Month, we are reminded that understanding our shared past helps us better understand one another in the present. It invites us to notice contributions that strengthened our communities, even when they went unrecognized at the time. May this moment remind us that progress is built through care, persistence, and a willingness to learn. As we move forward, let us do so with curiosity, respect, and a shared commitment to strengthening our community for those who will follow. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Ms. Jones. All right, Mr. Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Bowers.
Here.
Jones.
Here.
McGregor.
Here.
Padova.
Here.
Renner.
Here.
Schnetzer. Here. Weaver.
Here. Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Are there any additions or corrections to the agenda this evening? All right, seeing none, we will move on to Section C, presentations. We do have a joint resolution and proclamation presentation this evening recognizing Black History Month and honoring the legacy of Cora Thurman. And for the presentation, I'd like to start first with Vice President Jones.
Thank you. So we all have, for those just joining online or in the room, had the pleasure of, prior to today's meeting, hearing a thorough presentation on the life and legacy of Cora May Thurman. Ms. Thurman made history in 1913 as the first African-American student to graduate from Gahanna schools, demonstrating profound courage and determination in pursuing her own education at a time when racial barriers sought to limit her potential. Throughout her life's work, Cora Thurman embodied the belief that all people have value and deserve the chance to share their gifts, reminding us that history is shaped not only by extraordinary figures, but by everyday people who inspire the most extraordinary things in others. So today we are all excited to present a resolution to Mr. Tom Gregory, who has done extensive research and presented on Ms. Thurman prior to today's meeting, and I encourage everyone to go back and watch that recording. But we also have Clemia Matthews, who is granddaughter of Cora Thurman, here with us today to receive this resolution. So I invite both of them to the front, as well as all of my colleagues, City Attorney Tamala Larison, Mayor Jadwin, for a photo, and any words by Mr. Gregory or Ms. Matthews if you'd like as well.
Three, two. I think it's a push of your feet by accident. Sorry. Three, two, one.
The only thing I do want to say is Catherine Willis mentioned this too. This is the 100th anniversary of Black History, because it started with Black History Week. It's the 50th anniversary of the holiday. Okay. So Black History Month this this year, well, this is the 100th anniversary of celebrating Black history. It started out as Black History Week 100 years ago, 1926, and the 50th anniversary of the holiday for Black history. So that makes it very special for both of us. So thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gregory and Ms. Matthews. Madam Mayor, City Attorney, did you have anything you wanted to add on this?
Would you like to go first?
What an outstanding presentation, and just very inspiring story. Definitely resonated with me, and so thank you very much for bringing this forward, and thank you, Mr. Gregory.
Thank you. Thank you again for the opportunity to join with you. To echo your words, what an amazing presentation. Mr. Gregory, thank you for all of the research that you did in gathering the information that you shared. I strongly encourage anybody who's watching today to go back and watch that presentation. I think the line that resonated most, ordinary people doing extraordinary things. What a remarkable life, and to have the honor of having a family member of Cora May here with us this evening. Thank you so much for being here. She was incredible. And I was sitting here thinking of all the doors that she opened for so many people, and the way she just unselfishly and bravely gave no qualms about being the first to step up and fill a role and fill a need and identify those who needed to be lifted up and do what she could to find those opportunities to help others. It's Black History Month. The barriers that she broke down for the African American communities, but then I was thinking about the leadership up here. With all due respect, gentlemen, out of the 9 elected positions here, 6 of them are female. And I was thinking about her and what she did as the first female African American to do so many things. She created the path and opened the path and the road for many of us sitting up here. So what an incredible story, what a wonderful testimony. So thank you for sharing that with us today.
Madam Mayor, I'll just add my thanks for the wonderful presentation. As someone who has walked the halls of the former high school now, I'll say, for years, and I've seen the class picture on the wall and wondered about that life and who was that woman, but to be able to learn a bit more about her today and her life and legacy was really amazing, and just I don't want to say a bit of fascinating, what an extraordinary amount of history contained in one person and the legacy that she left. So thank you for bringing that to light for the community as well. So anything further on this? I know we have the resolution to discuss when there's an opportunity there as well. So, okay. Thank you very much for joining us. Next, we will move on to hearing of visitors. I have one speaker slip this evening. As a reminder, when I call your name, please approach the podium. You'll have 3 minutes. Please state your name and address for the record. Ryan March.
Hello, thank you. Ryan March, 278 Rivers End Road. Just a few words today, some thoughts rattling around inside my brain with so much going on. Wanted to share some positive energy and put it back in the world. If you were out and about in Gahanna on Sunday, you saw a demonstration of human empathy that I found very inspiring. People coming together and sharing that Gahanna is a place that is welcoming and wants to share the sense of human dignity that we all deserve. And hundreds of people wanted to show that they believe in building and having and keeping that community alive, which I think we can all relate to, and is something that we all want. So on another note, but very similar kind of energy with the immense snowstorm that came in over the past week. Gahanna Plow Team was out and keeping the roads clear. We're checking nearby cities, even just nearby roads, trying to get to Easton or anything else. They're not keeping up, but Gahanna roads we're keeping clear. So it was just one of those things that the small things can really have that positive energy, and wanted to reflect that back in the world. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. March. Mr. Clerk, are there any other speaker slips this evening?
No, nothing additional.
All right, thank you, sir. All right, moving right along, Section E, the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda as published?
So moved.
I have a motion by Bowers. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Renner. Any discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Bowers,
Yes.
Renner,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
McGregor,
Yes.
Padova,
Yes.
Schnetzer,
Yes.
Weaver.
Yes. All right, the consent agenda is adopted as published. Section F, resolutions. Mr. Clerk, would you please read the items under F into the record?
Resolution 0002-2026, a joint resolution and proclamation recognizing February 2026 as Black History Month and honoring the legacy of Cora Thurman. Resolution 0003-2026, a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract amendment with Fishbeck for the Taylor Road Waterline Replacement Project, ST 1121/WA24-01.
All right, thank you, Mr. Clerk. We'll start first with Resolution 0002-26 regarding recognizing Black History Month. Is there a motion to adopt the resolution?
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Jones. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Padova. Any discussion? Ms. Bowers.
Just very briefly, I'd just like to echo my thanks to Councilwoman Jones, Clerk Van Meter, and city staff involved in demonstrating tonight's legacy of history with Ms. Thurman. And of course, a big thank you to Mr. Gregory and to her family for being here in support of it, and to the Ward family as well for sharing their photos so generously. It's all, our history is all connected, and so I think that demonstrated that integration that we have throughout the community, so thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bowers. Ms. Padova.
Thank you also to everyone who made this possible here tonight. And just want to also echo the mayor's recommendation of, I assume that the earlier session is a separate YouTube video, but highly recommend watching that because this resolution is great, but it doesn't even begin to go into all of the depth. It couldn't go into all of the depth that we just heard about this last hour. I kept thinking, okay, this is another big thing, but what's he going to talk about the rest of this time? And then he just kept going with another big thing and another big thing and another first and another first and layering them on. Just what an incredible person. So thank you so much for educating all of us on her life.
Thank you, Ms. Jones, or Ms. Padova, excuse me. I'll just add briefly, I appreciate Mr. Gregory's comments on his way out, and it sort of highlighted former President Ford's quote in the resolution, and just made me think that was, Black History Month was declared a holiday in 1976 as part of America's bicentennial, and seems very fitting as we reflect on our progress and journey as a nation as we celebrate our semi-quincentennial. That's, I think, the only time I'll say that this year. I'm not going to risk it any further, but it seemed very fitting. So, any other discussion on the item? All right, seeing none, Mr. Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Jones,
Yes.
Padova,
Yes.
McGregor,
Yes.
Renner,
Yes.
Schnetzer,
Yes.
Weaver,
Yes.
Bowers.
Yes.
All right, resolution is adopted. Next up, Resolution 0003-2026, resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract amendment with Fishbeck. And I see Senior Director Schultz has a few comments for us.
Sure. Thank you for the invitation to introduce the item. Because of the snow last week, we didn't get to hear this particular item and another item on the agenda at Committee of the Whole. But before you guys is a contract amendment for the Fishbeck Design Services contract for the Taylor Road Waterline project. This is a project that just recently went to bid, and inside of the Fishbeck contract, There's actually provisions for contract administration, or, I'm sorry, construction management and inspection type services. As the letter that's also attached to the agenda item indicates, as they began to go through the process, I believe the engineering department recognized the fact that we do actually have a provision in our code that requires us to upgrade sidewalks at the time in which we're doing major capital improvements, Excuse me. So that initiated a conversation with Fishbeck that they needed to go and design the sidewalks and so on and so forth. So all monitoring budgets, because contingencies were included and so on and so forth, we got to a point we're at a particular point now where we need to make the contract whole in order to do construction administration and inspection work. So we're here before you today requesting a contract modification, adding just under $70,000 to the existing Fishbeck contract, bringing the total to $312,000. $312,121.80 to be exact. So the administration is respectfully requesting a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into said contract modification for the Taylor Road water line replacement project.
All right, thank you, Senior Director. I think I'll do a motion to approve and get a second, then go to any discussion. Is there a motion to approve Resolution 3-2026?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Renner. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Jones. Any discussion on this item? Any questions for Director Schultz? Yes, Mrs. McGregor.
Is this on the north or south side of the road?
This is the residential properties on the north side of the road. So the provision in code, I should have clarified, that is only for residential properties.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Bowers?
Yeah, could you just clarify, just since we don't have a map or anything adjacent to this, where along the north side of Taylor, if you
So it's all the single-family residences from Helmbright, if you're coming west, to, I believe that's an assisted living facility. The first property or the end of the sidewalk work is at that particular property. And then there's actually a condo association just a little bit further west, so it'll include a very small section there. It's about, if I remember correctly, it's about 3,000 linear feet of sidewalk on the north side only.
So would this be to expand the existing sidewalk?
This
or-
brings the sidewalks to ProAg standard, which this will replace a 4-foot sidewalk with a 5-foot sidewalk. And then bring all the facilities up to the ADA standard.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for the clarification.
Thank you, Ms. Bowers. Any further discussion? All right. Seeing none, Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Renner?
Yes.
Jones?
Yes.
Padova?
Yes.
Schnetzer?
Yes.
Weaver?
Yes.
Bowers?
Yes.
McGregor?
Yes.
All right, the resolution is adopted. All right, next up, we have ordinances for introduction, first reading, Section G. Mr. Clerk, would you please read the items under G into the record?
Ordinance 0005-2026, an ordinance authorizing supplemental appropriations, Central Park TIF Fund, General Fund, and Cul-de-sac Maintenance Fund for various purposes. Ordinance 0006-2026, an ordinance amending the City of Gahanna Codified Ordinance Section 133.02, purchasing procedures.
All right, thank you, Mr. Clerk. Next up, Section H, ordinances for second reading and adoption. Mr. Clerk, would you please read the item into the record?
I apologize. Will the first reading items be going back to committee?
Oh, thank you, Ms. Bowers. Yes, that was my understanding based on the cancellation of Monday's meeting. So we will bring those two items under G to Committee of the Whole for next week for presentation. Thank you. Back to Section H, Mr. Clerk, would you please read the item?
Ordinance 0002-2026, an ordinance accepting, approving, and ratifying the submitted recommendations of the City of Gahanna Tax Incentive Review Council for tax year 2024.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. So before turning to the city attorney for comments on this, I'll seek first a motion to approve and a second, and then turn to discussion. Is there a motion to approve ordinance 2-2026?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Renner. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Bowers. And now turn to City Attorney Tamala Harrison.
Thank you. Pursuant to the last discussion of this item at committee and some questions that were forthcoming from council in preparation for the last committee that was canceled. I did do some research into the Turk statute and did place a call over to the auditor's office who runs the Turk. And in discussions with counsel at the auditor's office, there has been a request to postpone our vote on this item until some further research can be done about some compliance issues that occurred during the Turk meeting and whether or not there was sufficient quorum to vote on the matters before the council, in specific with regard to the Mifflin Township incentives and abatements. And so the request is, or recommendation from my office is to postpone to a date certain. I would ask that this come back to committee next week and then on to second reading the next council meeting.
Thank you, City Attorney. Any questions for the City Attorney? All right.
I'd like to make a motion to postpone the vote on ordinance 0002-2026 to a date certain, being February 16th.
All right, motion by Bowers. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, second by Renner. Any discussion on the motion to postpone to a date certain? Seeing none, Mr. Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Bowers?
Yes.
Renner?
Yes.
Schnetzer?
Yes.
Weaver?
Yes.
Jones?
Yes.
McGregor?
Yes.
Padova?
Yes.
All right, ordinance 0002-2026 is postponed to February 16th, but will come back to committee next week. All right, next up, Section I, ordinances for introduction, waiver, and adoption. Mr. Clerk, would you please read ordinance 004-2026?
Ordinance 0004-2026, an ordinance authorizing supplemental appropriations and waiving second reading, TIF, state capital grant, capital improvement, water capital, and sewer capital improvement funds for capital improvement projects.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. With waiver requested for this item, is there a motion to approve waiver of second reading?
So moved.
Motion by Jones. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, second by Mr. Renner. I will, perhaps for discussion, I will turn to Mr. Schultz first, and we can vote on the waiver request then.
Thank you, sir. As part of our capital improvement plan, the CIP Advisory Committee and the way in which the document is written, one of the things that that plan puts in place is a process at the end of the year to basically return any unencumbered funds on each one of the, on every project, if you would. And then for the projects that need a reallocation, we would come back to you folks in the early part of the year, and hence why we're here. So this is all outlined. I believe this is the second time we've gone through this process. This is in an effort to increase transparency, not just with you folks, but also with the public. As part of the item here, what's also attached is the list of projects that would receive funding back. Again, these were not included in the request, the 2026 budget request, but these were returned at the end of December, and then we're asking for these funds back to make these projects whole. I guess in some instances, projects have not necessarily progressed in a fashion that would have given us the ability to encumber these funds. It's not that the projects are stalled or anything like that. It's just the natural life cycle of a project itself. So these would be necessary funds in order to continue each and every one of these projects here.
Thank you, Director Schultz. Any discussion on the request for waiver? Well, I guess I should ask what reason for waiver on this?
Reason for waiver on this is so that the funding can be utilized and accessed expediently, correct? I do believe I probably shouldn't, just to use it, make it available much more within that, saving the 2-week time window, yes.
Yes, sir. Any discussion on the request for waiver? All right, we will, Mr. Clerk, please call the roll on the request for waiver.
Jones?
Yes.
Renner?
Yes.
Schnetzer?
Yes.
Weaver?
Yes.
Bowers?
Yes.
McGregor?
Yes.
Padova?
Yes.
The ordinance will include the request for waiver. Is there a motion to approve ordinance 0004-2026 with waiver?
So moved.
Motion by Bowers. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Jones. Any discussion on the underlying ordinance?
I'll just.
Ms. Bowers.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. I'll just echo that I appreciate the process that Mr. Schultz outlined here for us. All of these items have been incorporated into the capital improvement plan. We've known that they have been part of the anticipated expenditures, and so I do appreciate this kind of refreshing everybody and giving us a heads up on where things are. So I think this is a great practice, and I appreciate you bringing this forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bowers. Yes, Mrs. McGregor.
One of the items is, on the capital improvements, is gateways, entryways. And probably this is the third time I have requested this, is to take down the sign on Taylor Road coming into the city. It is terrible looking. And I've offered to paint it, bring it to my house, I'll paint it. I've done it before, but please just take it down. It is awful. If you don't put anything back up, but take it down. I've had people who work at Mount Carmel ask me, why does that sign look so bad? And I said, I've requested a couple times. This is probably the third time. So that's my request.
It'll be down tomorrow, ma'am.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, because I've asked to.
Thank you all.
They've been a little busy lately, but you're right.
Any other discussion on this item? All right, seeing none, Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Bowers?
Yes.
Jones?
Yes.
Schnetzer?
Yes.
Weaver?
Yes.
McGregor?
Yes.
Padova?
Yes.
Renner?
Yes.
All right, the ordinance is adopted with waiver. Thank you.
And a directive to remove.
And the directive to remove the sign.
It's too bad with the snowplows out, they couldn't have just knocked it.
I can guarantee you, if they even just touched it, it would crumble, so it won't take much.
All right, moving on, Section J, correspondence and actions. Mr. Clerk?
Nothing this evening.
All right, I do want to give a shout out to council office for the preparation of the City Council at Work newsletter, which has been published. So thank you to Ms. Hiltz in particular, but everybody in council office and everybody who shared information and photos to be presented. Anything from my colleagues on correspondence and actions? All right. Seeing none, Representative, Section K, Community Improvement Corporation, Mr. Renner and Ms. Padova.
Thank you. The CIC board met on January 21st for the the organizational meeting. So we did the election of officers, and the president for this year is going to be George Morris. Vice President and Secretary, Betty Collins, and Vice President Treasurer is Jeff Kessler. The committees will remain the same, Real Estate, Jodelle Carter, and Finance, Jeff Kessler. We did formally set the meeting time and date, which I have announced before, but we'll again, that it is the third Wednesday at 8 a.m. And we also agreed to continue doing the twice-a-year meetings with council, and those dates are to be determined. I believe that we would like to do, see how the timing lines up to do the, give council the strategic plan that we will be working on here soon. Then moved into our regular board meeting after that, where we did discuss, spent the bulk of the meeting discussing the strategic plan, and how all of that is going to work, and also got a update on the Mill Street property demolition, which if anybody's been by there, they have likely seen that progress. And I believe that is all for CIC. But just one reminder, since it is the beginning of the year, that those meetings are open to the public. If we go into executive session, we do ask anybody from the public to step out. But other than that, they are open to the public. And as I said, the third Wednesday of each month at 8 a.m.
Thank you, Ms. Padova. Anything to add, Mr. Renner?
No, for the record, I was not unable to actually attend that meeting, so I apologize.
Thank you, Mr. Renner. Mid-Ohio Regional Planning Commission, no formal report for me this evening. Look forward to a full report at our next meeting. Convention and Visitors Bureau, right back to you, Ms. Padova.
So the Creekside Charity Chocolate Walk will be held on Sunday, February 15th from 1 to 5. The proceeds benefit Give to Gahanna. There are still a limited number of tickets available, so get them before they sell out. There is also early bird pricing available until February 7th. So I recommend getting those in quickly. I did that for the first time last year and highly recommend it. A great way to get outside and get some fresh air in February. And before you even start getting cold, you're right back into the next location and you get warmed up. So really great time. Lots of community members out and about, and it's good to see some folks in these long winter months. Also, one of the CBJF headliners was announced last week. Selwyn Birchwood will be performing on the Blues stage on Friday, June 19th. So stay tuned for more headliner announcements here in the coming weeks. We are also seeking sponsors for the event, and we are also accepting vendor applications. Speaking of vendor applications, Herb Day is coming up on Saturday, May 2nd. So they are now accepting Herb Day vendor applications as well. So save that date as well, Saturday, May 2nd for the Herb Day Festival at Creekside. And that's all for me.
Thank you, Ms. Padova. School Board, Ms. Jones.
Thank you. Wanted to say thank you to School Board Member Dion Manley for joining us for the presentation earlier and for sticking with us this evening. Just a reminder of February meetings coming up. So February 5th is a board workshop meeting at 5:30, a little earlier than normal. Location wasn't on the website. I don't know, maybe Mr. Manley can shout it out for the record. Got it. Say that again.
Clark Hall.
Clark, it is Clark. Okay, got it. I know we rotate for those. Finance and Facilities, February 17th, 6:30, Clark Hall, and then the regular board meeting is the 19th, also at 6:30 at Clark Hall. So that's all I have for this month.
All right, thank you, Ms. Jones. Official reports, Madam Mayor.
Thank you very much. I'd like to take a moment to commend the board members of the Gahanna Area Chamber of Commerce for the successful launch of the Gahanna Community Impact Fund. This is a brand new nonprofit organization. Actually, Kyle Houston, who's a chamber board member, Gahanna resident, was really integral, and it was his brainchild in getting that off and running. That nonprofit organization will work to generate funds that will then be translated into a grant program to support small businesses here in the city, which really reflects a strong commitment to supporting our local small businesses. They are, after all, the backbone of our economy. Saturday night at their event was really thrilling when Kyle announced that they had raised over $11,000 just through that first kickoff event. So I know they're looking forward to getting that off the ground in terms of launching that program. I do believe they'll be reaching out to us. We told them we've learned a few things through our own community grant program, so we look forward to supporting them. But it is really a wonderful example of it does take a village. It takes the economic development team to create an environment where businesses can thrive, and a chamber to help support our small business community as well. So look forward to seeing what great things they're going to be able to do. I appreciated Mr. Marsh's comments about our road warriors because I wanted to take a minute to recognize and commend them for their extraordinary effort. As we all know, this was Winter Storm Fern. These names are killing me. Fern. It was an historic snowfall. The largest storm we've had in nearly 20 years. We had more than a foot of snow in less than 24 hours. Snow ended sometime Sunday night. By Monday morning, Mr. Perlman and I were out driving in the car for work. We were essential, checking the condition of roadways. And roadways were passable. They had been plowed. People were out shoveling. It really was amazing. Our team worked for 5 days straight, from Saturday through Wednesday, split 12-hour shifts. We had people on the roads 24/7 for those days. They worked around the clock, often in difficult, hazardous conditions, as we all know. Once the storm passed, these sub-zero temperatures set in. And it wasn't just our public service team. It was members of our Parks and Recreation team. We had some code enforcement folks, some members of our maintenance team, all who are CDL drivers were out there driving plows. and their dedication, their professionalism, their commitment to public safety, as well as our first responders who are out there, and they get overlooked in that type of weather as well, did not go unnoticed. And just a stat for you, collectively, over that period of time, they plowed 5,396.4 miles in this city. And I'll also put that in perspective for you because our daughters and their husbands live in North Carolina, which, as you may have seen, had a duplicate storm this past weekend. Their storm came Saturday night, I think it was Saturday night. By last night, this morning, their street had not yet been plowed. So I'm pretty sure in North Carolina, they're still trying to figure out how to do the plows because they're not used to that kind of snow, let alone over a foot of snow. But it really does speak to the level of commitment that our team has. They take such pride in their work, and I really, truly extend a heartfelt thank you to each and every one of them for their long work, their long hours, their teamwork, and the commitment that they have to Gahanna. Also want to congratulate Mr. Chris Wagner and the troupe of the GLHS Black Box Theater for their performances of 12 Angry Jurors right here in our council chambers last Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. What an amazing performance. We have such talent in this community. We talk all the time about the theater program at GLHS, and it was really unique to have it here in these chambers in what was really a courtroom-like setting. And I have to tell you, I thought some of those kids really were jurors. So, they were amazing, and they had 3 weeks of practice, rehearsal, but one of those weeks was last week when they missed 3 days of school. So for them to come in and deliver that level of performance with that limited period of time was truly exceptional. So congratulations to them, and we were thrilled to be a partner host with them and providing the location for them. Just a few notes for our residents. The next edition of Uniquely Gahanna has been sent to print and will be hitting mailboxes in the next couple of weeks. When folks get it, make sure they check out the event calendar. We have dates for events coming up through May, and not only Herb Day, but we have the Gahanna Bike Rodeo will be returning. We have a new date for our Shred event, which is going to be moved to May. The Walk in Our Boots 5K is the same day as Herb Day, so lots of fun things coming up to look forward to. Our pool memberships are currently on sale. There's an early bird registration right now that they could take advantage of those savings through March 31. So that is happening. Our seasonal recruitment for the summer has begun. Lots of jobs available. You can check those out at gahanna.gov. And then finally, the latest episode of the Our Gahanna podcast was posted right before Winter Storm Firm. We thought it'd be great. People could sit at home and listen to the podcast as opposed to maybe watching the weather forecast. But in any event, if people have not yet heard that, they can check that out. It features a conversation with Brandy Sargent, co-owner of SGT Sargent Coffee, who just celebrated a ribbon cutting not long ago. It seems like a long time ago, but it was right before the storm hit. So great conversation with her talking about what it took them to get that business up and running, how excited they are about being in Creekside, the challenges that they also see, and their thoughts on the proposed development project that we've been talking about. So again, the podcast, Our Gahanna, is available on all of the typical podcast platforms. You can also catch a link to it on gahanna.gov as well. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. City Attorney.
Thank you. In litigation news, the Taglia case that's pending in the Court of Appeals, the trip and fall in Academy Park, appellant briefs, so the plaintiff's brief was due on January 20th of this year. They have failed to file a brief, so a notice did go out from the court last week to notify them that if they fail to prosecute, that the appeal will be dismissed. And so that's what we will be pushing for, and hopefully have some closure to that litigation here soon. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, City Attorney. All right, council comment. Mr. Renner, we'll start with you.
Yes, I want to thank Councilwoman Jones for that wonderful resolution, and Mr. Gregory for the fantastic presentation. I was late, unfortunately, but what I caught was very interesting. Cora Thurman's 41 years as an educator helped expand opportunity and cultivate belonging for countless students. And her life's work reminds us how one person perseverance can shape a community. And I'm grateful for this resolution to share her story and adding a shining moment to Gahanna's rich history. Everybody is talking about the winter storm Fern. Gahanna weathered once-in-a-generation snowstorm with grit, coordination, and community. I witnessed on Facebook countless, especially on the west side, where students and neighbors were out and asking how they can help and how they can actually shovel each other's sidewalks and driveways. And definitely, as the mayor noted, we should actually all stand up and give a round of applause for our snow warriors. Even EMA, Emergency Management Association, counted as Gahanna as the #1 city in the region that got their streets done ahead of everybody else. So that was actually remarkable, and as the director for the county, I was sitting with pride. While no single storm can be attributed solely to climate change, the severity of the storm definitely aligns with the growing body of evidence that climate change is intensifying our weather extremes, including heavy snowfall events. And it's most notable that the other times, this is the third largest event, snow event for our region. The other times were in March and April. Again, when we have higher temperatures and higher precipitation. The point is, the Arctic area and the region is destabilizing due in part to warming effect of greenhouse gases. And it's most notable that we have another polar vortex coming very soon. So, and that's all.
Thank you, Mr. Renner. Mrs. McGregor.
Thank you. Mr. Gregory did his presentation to the Historical Society last year at one of our meetings, and it's an excellent presentation, and thank you for inviting him to come tonight. That was great. I wanted to say our meeting next Tuesday on the 10th, and Darlene will have to help me. Marshall, what's his last name? Marshall Siegel is doing a presentation on the Constitution, and he wanted to do it, and it's like the only time, February is the only time he'll be in town. He usually travels to Washington, D.C. and gives the presentation to groups there. So on the 10th, if you're interested, we have our meeting at the library at 7 o'clock. But he's going to be he asked to do that presentation, so we're going to have him, which seemed timely with the America 250 celebration. And the other thing, I went to the SGT Coffee ribbon cutting, and I don't know what I expected, but I did not expect as much room as there is in that building. And there's one room that probably has 6 or 7 tables for 2, and then there's another room in the back that has probably 10 tables for 6. And so it's very comfy and cozy, and so if you need a cup of coffee and just to hang out with some friends, it'd be a great place to go. And lastly, I will say that I welcome home our son-in-law, Francisco. He's been in Kuwait for almost a year, and he is back in the States. We don't know exactly where, but he is here, and will be home within the next 2 to 3 weeks. So we are thankful for him being home and safe. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. McGregor. Mr. Schnetzer.
Nothing to add this evening, thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Schnetzer. Ms. Badova.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. March, for your comments this evening. As he pointed out, there were nearly 300 people who gathered in Gahanna on Sunday for the Intentional Chain of Empathy, a peaceful demonstration rooted in love, solidarity, and community. It was planned prior to last week's record snowfall, but the event took an even deeper meaning after the level 3 snow emergency and the heartbreaking loss of Alex Preddy. For many, the gathering became a needed opportunity to step outside, take a breath of fresh air, and release the weight of winter. The goal was never to create something negative or divisive, but to bring neighbors together in the spirit of empathy. After being shut in by the storm and the grief our community has felt, we needed to be together. We needed a moment of connection, a reminder that we are not alone, and that Gahanna stands in solidarity with all of our neighbors. Despite the 20-degree temperatures, neighbors and friends lined Granville Street, holding signs and standing in support of our immigrant community. Thank you to everyone who came out, as well as those who drove by honking, waving, and cheering us all on as we stood in the cold. The intentional chain of empathy served as a powerful reminder that no human is illegal. And Gahanna is a community that shows up for one another, even in the coldest conditions. So thank you again to everybody that came out. Also, special thanks to GPD, who had a presence around the whole time to make sure everybody stayed safe, made sure to stay in close communication to make sure that just everything stayed safe and on the up and up. So it made me very proud of our community yesterday. Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Padova. Ms. Bowers.
Yeah, thank you. So just a couple of quick announcements. On Wednesday this week, the Columbus Metropolitan Club's forum is on cybersecurity in the age of AI. There is still room to attend if you'd like to attend, and of course, those presentations are also streamed on YouTube. Every January, the CMC hosts an annual economic forecast that's always very insightful. Local economic guru Bill Lafayette is always on the panel and shares his insights. You can catch that available on YouTube, which is through the CMC's website or their YouTube channel. Also coming up next week is MORPC's Data Day. You've all heard me give rave reviews of that event. I think that the breakout sessions look incredible again for this year. I'm really looking forward to hearing from many of the experts. We have a Gahanna-based executive who's actually giving the morning keynote, and then throughout the day, just lots of regional leaders. So there is still space available if you're interested in attending that next Tuesday, the 10th. And then Wednesday, the 11th, if the economic forecast from CMC isn't enough, Heartland Bank is hosting an economic forecast on February 11th during the lunch hour at the Grand Event Center. RSVPs are requested by the 4th if you're interested in attending that. I think that wraps up my announcements, so on to thank yous. Thank you to Mr. Marsh for joining us tonight and for sharing positivity, both for city services and in light of the event over the weekend on Sunday. You're right, I think it was a very affirming experience, people coming together to exercise First Amendment rights, build community, and even shovel snow together. And thank you very much to Councilwoman Padova for vision and leadership, not just at that event, but also Councilwoman Padova's remarks at the Sergeant Coffee ribbon cutting were well said. Camaraderie meets coffee. I think it's their slogan, above their doorway. So it's been, I think there's been a lot on our minds and a lot on our plates, but thank you all so much for being here and for continuing to advance some of the great work that's going on here in the community. And I'll conclude with a quote from Toni Morrison: "The function of freedom is to free someone else." So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bowers. Vice President Jones.
Ms. Bowers, thank you. That was a good one. Good quote. So really quickly, just another thank you for Black History Month, for everyone who made today's presentation possible, and for coming and enjoying that with us. And, my call to action as we continue throughout Black History Month is, what Mr. Gregory said about continuing to learn and highlight and give platforms to those ordinary people doing extraordinary things. And we have some of those ordinary people doing extraordinary things right here in Gahanna. Mayor Jadwin spoke about the 12 angry jurors, but did not highlight we had 2 cameos in the show from both Mayor Jadwin and Council President Weaver. So I still think City of Gahanna talent show someday, because we've seen you both moonlight in your other areas. Mr. March highlighted extraordinary people or ordinary people doing extraordinary things in our community, and wanted to double click on that as well. Wanted to personally thank a Gahanna high school student who I was shoveling my sidewalks, and an elderly neighbor asked me to do his. I was worn out and couldn't, but got on Facebook really quick, and a youth messaged me and was there in an hour to shovel a driveway that hadn't been touched because that was 2 or 3 days later. And so that's just an example of people kind of showing up for each other in our community. And the epitome of that, I think, was the chain of empathy yesterday. So kudos again to Councilwoman Padova for the vision and for everyone that came out and just had a moment that made me really, really proud, as I often am, but put a bow on just being proud to be a resident here in Gahanna. So thank you to everyone.
Thank you, Ms. Jones. Certainly been a busy couple of weeks. I know the mayor highlighted several of the items, so I'll be brief, but congratulations to the Gahanna the Gahanna Chamber of Commerce and on the start of the Community Impact Fund. I was briefly in attendance before I had to go make my cameo. Thank you, Ms. Jones. But great event and looking forward to seeing the full impact there. Congratulations to Sergeant Coffee on their opening. Ms. Bowers highlighting Ms. Padova's comments is very true to form. So, and it was an honor to attend and be joined by, I think half the community was there trying to get a cup of coffee. And
I got mine.
yeah, and it is good coffee. So congratulations to them. We look forward to their continued growth and success in the city. Very moving story, and to see them get their storefront open is very powerful and impactful. Thank you, Ms. Padova, for your work organizing the event yesterday, joining hands with members of our community. Very powerful and moving. And thank you, Ms. Jones, for being the architect of this evening's resolution. Appreciate everybody's involvement and learning more about Ms. Cora May Jones Thurman. I do also want to give a huge shout out to our snow warriors. I heard compliments from residents and visitors alike to our city about what a great and tremendous job they did over the course of days, working long shifts. I think you said 5,396.4 miles, something like that,
Yeah, I
maybe?
have to look at that. That sounds right.
But that is incredible. And all it took was a quick look at Facebook to see that it brought out the best in our neighbors and in our community, neighbors helping neighbors. So I'm over the snow. It can melt, but it did bring out a lot of good. And so I'm happy to see the community helping community. I believe that will be it for my remarks this evening. Is there anything further for council this evening? Seeing none, we will go ahead and adjourn. So thank you. Have a great night.